stinks.
Okay, so now it is recording.
Okay,
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm just very focused. That way I can hear you.
Okay. I wonder if I could up my volume somehow, if that would work. Okay. Is that any better?
No, I
Boo.
bet it's with my phone.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I don't know anything else I can do to make it better.
That's okay. I can still hear you. I just have to read your lips too.
Okay. So you watched your video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think that lesson was? If you think about 10 being the best lesson in the whole wide world and 1 being the worst thing ever.
Um, I would say probably like a 5 or a 6. And I don't know if I rate it that low, if that's a good thing or not. But I also feel like it was like just kind of like information. So it was kind of not necessarily anything like fun for them or even like me to do. You know what I mean? Because it's not like there was no like hands on or any kind of like activity. It was like just kind of reviewing information and telling them more information.
So even with, just giving information, like giving them a big chunk of information, what would the students be doing to get it more to a 10?
Something I thought about after I was watching it was that maybe I could have had like some kind of like fill in the blank kind of thing, or some kind of maybe thing with some kind of pictures or something that while we were reviewing it, they could have been filling in a blank or adding to a picture, or something like that to make it so that they were still having to listen to the information, but that they could have been making sure they were paying attention and being able to like apply it to something versus just listening. I mean, a lot of them were answering and getting it and everything, but I still feel like it was like if I was them, it was kind of boring.
Okay, so you feel like it was boring. You feel like you wanted the kids to be able to like actively do something, even though it was a lot of just like give information, a big chunk of content you were giving them.
Yes, they
You
need
agree?
an activity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so they need some kind of
something.
activity. Do you feel like it's whenever you give them a large chunk of activity that you, or large chunk of content that you do need?
Say it again.
Do you feel like when you're giving them a large chunk of content like that, do you feel like it's always in that kind of manner, or do you feel like this was uniquely boring?
Um, I feel like it was kind of like it was. How do I answer that good? It was just kind of. I felt like it was not awesome day for like material because we were reviewing what we had already talked about, but then just trying to add on to it. I don't think it's normally like that. Normally we have some like, we started 13 colonies today. So even though that's a lot of information, there was a little, we had like the 13 colonies map that they were able to color and, fill in stuff. So they were able to, instead of just listening, they were able to kind of get a chunk of information, pause, do something with that information, learn more information, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it sounds like kind of what you're looking at is you wanted the kids to be even more engaged, even though it was kind of a more boring lesson, you're still wanting them to be actively thinking and their mind turned on, sort of thing. Am I hearing you right?
Yes. Yes.
So if we pick that as a goal of something to work on, how do you think that would change your class?
I think that could change behaviors. I think that could change them, like just understanding the content. And something that I've kind of started myself a little interactive poster to do list because the other day, we went to that training about the interactive posters. And so like, I've just really been trying to do it. And I think that was just the thing is I was scared to just go for it. So now I've just went gung ho and gone for it. And even though like the other day we talked about in science changing states of matter, they seem to even do better with kind of the not so awesome stuff. even with the poster, because we had the pictures and that kind of thing. So I think even having something, even if it's not necessarily them interacting, they're still interacting with a poster, and they're able to even if it's one person being able to manipulate a piece on it or some that seemed to help everybody paying attention. It helped with people, any kind of behaviors. No one was just up out of their seat, which drove me crazy in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, so many people up out of their seat.
So you're talking about, people up out of their seat. You like the idea of kids being able to like tactile hold on to something or interact with something. You want the kids to be more engaged with the content. So out of those kind of three ideas, what would you what do you think would benefit your class more?
I think that oh, there it is. I'm like, oh gosh. I think that doing and just kind of experimenting with a few things that I've done. I think having kind of both the poster and the like it mimics the poster, but it's a paper for them to fill out, I think will be the most beneficial, because it's something that a lot of the kids don't go back and look in their journal. They just don't. But
Mm-hmm.
it's something that they have as a resource in their journal if they do need to, and will go look back at it. But then the poster is also like a constant every single day reminder for them, so that hopefully something will stick. So I think kind of like, if even if I could have done something with that lesson the other day, where if I would have already had something kind of made up, or something that they could have still been interacting, one person putting something up on the board, certain words or pictures, and then them doing that in their journals, I think that would have made it even just more so interesting, and maybe helped those that were completely lost, which there was a few of those.
Yes.
Maybe they might not have gotten the whole thing, but maybe a few little things they would have been more confident at being able to answer, instead of being like just clueless.
Okay. So if we're going to pick this kind of interaction, engagement sort of direction for a goal, um, we need a way to be able to measure it. We do have forms that we can measure their engagement and kind of judge whether they're really interacting or if they're just kind of pretending that they're interacting.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that form for your class, obviously. We were just trying to gather data to begin with. But that is a form that we could use. And, as we move on, we could use that form to kind of track how well they're progressing towards a goal. But you would have to kind of pick a goal, like how engaged, because that's really, it seems like what you're saying is how engaged they are. If they're interacting and they're thinking, then kind of engaged with. So about what do you think would be a fair number of the amount of kids in your room being actively thinking about the content and interacting with things would be a good number to shoot for?
I mean, would 90 be too high? I mean, is that kind of unrealistic? Should I shoot for something lower and then
Well, we could, we could look at just take like a chunk of 5 or 10 minutes from your video, and I could show you how the form works, and you could see kind of where they're at now. But if you had to guess, where do you think that their engagement was on that video, like holistically on that video? Because I know, I mean, it changed a little bit from the beginning towards the end too.
yes. Yes. I would say
If you had to guess.
maybe like 60% of the kids,
Okay.
70%.
So do you think it would be, maybe a great goal to get to would be, I mean, you're saying 90%. I think that's a great goal, but, I don't know. I want you to make the judgment on whether that at this point is going to be the measure, or if we're going to pick something else and then reevaluate.
Maybe at this point, maybe I can do like 80% or 85%. I mean, obviously, like I'd want 100%,
Right.
but that's like duh. But maybe at this point I can just do like, 80%. And then if there's more, that'd be great. But just shoot for 80% of kids being actively engaged. And I think that if I can, you know, like do my little interactive poster to-do list thing that I have, you know, where I'm already trying to think ahead and plan ahead and all that. Because the other day when I really tried it for the first day with changing states of matter poster, I mean, I I had no conduct marks that day. I didn't have to conduct mark anybody. And I at the end of the class I was like, "Oh my." And then I was like, "Why didn't I have to?" And I thought, "Well, it's probably because it was something new, number 1, and I was acting excited about it and telling him there's these statistics and it's great and I'm excited because I want you guys to be successful." And then I think in turn that made them interested in it. And it was interesting and fun for them to talk about these words, see these words, draw the words. You know, I think that they also liked the fact that I forgot words to put on there. And so then I let a kid with a sticky note, "Hey, can you write the word evaporation on there?" And because I forgot to do it, because I was just trying to hurry and get, you know, words in there. And they like to be able to do that. And one person said, "It's like you're a real person." And I just started laughing because I'm like, yes, I forget things. Like, you know, so I think that will help if I can just even plan ahead. And I keep trying to tell myself too, it doesn't have to be this crazy elaborate
No,
poster thing, you know, like
it
it can
just
be
be
pretty simple.
a way to organize their thinking. So as far as the interactive word wall goes, I know Julie Jackson, when she just presented it for science, but are you considering also doing something like that for social studies?
Yes, because I feel like almost even more so than science, social study needs that. Because with science, you can do like labs, or they can actually hold an ice cube and watch it melt. You know what I mean? Like they can actually, but we can go back in time and sail across the sea with Christopher Columbus, you know? So I think it's hard. And they have movies and stuff, but the kids get kind of bored with the movies too, you know? So I think if there was, and I've already kind of thought of little like ideas for social studies and have already started kind of planning it. Like I made one today of the 13 colonies. That's pretty boring. I mean, it's pretty much
Yeah.
just the facts, but it's a big poster. It's pretty font, you know, which the kids like too, versus just like the Times New Roman. We're going to color it together, you know, all this kind of stuff. We're going to color it together. We're going to label together. It can be a quick, doesn't have to be a long thing, but I think it will help even in social studies too. Cause I know a lot of kids aren't interested in social studies because it's boring to them.
Okay, so it sounds like the kind of even with social studies ends up being, you know, a short engage, getting them interested in the new topic, and then it seems like there's, you know, maybe we can come up with exploratory type, you know, picture sorts or something to get them into that explore and try and design it kind of like a 5E so that it's
Yeah.
not two different lesson designs that you're dealing with. Because the interactive word wall, the wall is built during this explain. So it seems like social studies is more extensive of an explain than what science is. So you know, just really exploring how to get them interacting again with the wall is, you know, it sounds like that's the way you want to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then the other question is, you know, if we're going to do this engagement form, of course, we would strive to get the entire class, you know, point at this point, 80% engaged. But when we do the engagement form, we're not going to do it for the entire class. So how long do you want me to, you know, at some point when we come back, how long do you want me to take a snapshot of that class and do the engagement form to see where they are? How long do you think is a fair amount of time to watch that engagement? Anything I
Maybe like
lost?
10
Okay.
minutes. I mean, is that like way too little a time?
I think that's fair. The forum is set up in 5-minute increments. So I think that's that's a fair thing. And then we could maybe, you know, kind of do a couple of different ones, you know, maybe one class, 10 minutes, you know, do it at one point, 10 minutes in the beginning, 10 minutes in the middle, 10 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
We get a clearer picture of is 90 minutes in social studies on explain, is it the length of time that is causing engagement to be what it is, or is it the activities as well?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. That'd be good.
Okay, so for 10 times. Okay, so it's on, our goal is to increase engagement to 80% at this point, and we will revisit that later, that amount. We're going to gather data at 10-minute increments, and our strategy to help us get there is going to be interactive word walls at this point. We feel like there is more that you want to start incorporating, other ways of explaining or explain strategies, then I can share those with you as well.
Okay.
Okay. And then the next thing would be, I know you've already had the Julie Jackson training, but do you want help with planning it and trying to figure out the activities? Is that something you want me to work with you with, or would you rather me come and help you implement and
what if we try, like, I'm curious to see like what you think, what could I add? Like maybe that day I could try to like not pull out the best stops, but like, get a really interactive kind of lesson and something, and then maybe you can kind of help me figure out what could I have done differently or like improve on or do more of, do less of kind of thing. Because then I can even, I think that'll be beneficial for me to be able to like gauge where I'm at, like from an outsider's perspective, because sometimes I think, yeah, that was great. Like looking back at the video, I'm like, there were so many people walking around. Like, what is going, things that I didn't really catch. Like it didn't catch it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, part of, this whole strategy is or this impact cycle is to give you like a tangible kind of checklist to go down. And like I said, I know you've been to the Julie Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for social studies in particular, the TEKs are very large.
Yes.
Maybe taking that week in the scope and sequence, and as you read, because I know they explain all of the content that really needs to be there, instead of just taking all of those teaks around in that planning document, maybe take that page of the scope and sequence and go kind of word by word of like actual social studies words.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe edit the process a little bit for social studies that way.
Okay.
And then, with science, do it the way that Julie Jackson did it, because you're going to be looking conceptually at a whole teeth in some cases. And then, I can check back with you, and, we can go back and forth. And then absolutely I can come and watch your class again and see where we can edit things.
Okay.
Okay. When do you feel like you're ready to kind of get started on that?
Yeah.
Okay. When would you want me to come and I can come in and model or help you edit or whatever, whatever we decide in the moment? When do you think that would be
What about like next, I mean, like, do you want to do it like next week?
whenever you're ready?
Yeah, what about next week sometime? I think that Wednesdays we don't have any science meetings.
Okay, let me look at my calendar, because I don't even know my own, what I'm doing. So, okay, next week I could either come on Monday or on Tuesday.
Let's do Monday.
Let's do Monday. Okay. Cassie, you are on my calendar. You're stuck with me now.
Yay.
Okay, so
I don't mind being stuck with you.
thank you so much for FaceTime you or people hang out with you. And do you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, well, I will see you Monday.
Yay! See you Monday.
Bye.
Bye.